Thanks for stopping by Big Top Gaming. My name's Brian, and this is
Ethan again.
Yep, and we're back for another weekly Warmachine battle report. It seems like we're hitting these pretty close to weekly now, so we might as well just commit to it, and that way you have no excuse to not come over every Saturday.
And now you give people something to look forward to.
Yeah, and now everyone knows when you come over too, so now it's like really awkward because they'll just like figure out where I live and be like, I want to go hang out with Brian and Ethan. But,
Yeah, but
no one will want to do that.
Well, they don't know where I live, so how would they follow me?
Yeah, I guess, yeah, that's rough. No one wants to come stalk us.
So this week I am playing Minions, and I decided to bust out Old Reliable, which is Rask. So I got Rask with a Gatorman Soul Slave, a Swamp Whore, and a Wrastler for a pretty tiny battle group. I got a Meat Thresher, because I love those things and I'm Snowflake. 2 Dhunian Archons, 2 Void Archons, Rorsch and Brine, which I will be calling Ninja Pig for the entire video. Dahlia and Scareth, and I will be calling Scareth Danger Wiggle. And then the Wastelander, and then Swamp Gobber Bellows Cruise for a unit.
So for my list, I decided to bust out some Infernals. Now, I'm a fledgling Infernal player, so when it comes to building my own list, a lot of it's kind of like poking around, and sometimes things work and sometimes they don't. So I decided to default to a Knights Machine list that I had come across. It's I'm bringing Zaateroth as the master, and she's got a pretty standard battle group, at least in my opinion, because I always play Amadeus with 4 Tormentors, but bringing 4 Tormentors, 1 Foreboder, where we have the Gate, of course, and then in terms of Mark Souls solos, I'm not bringing any Wretches. These are all money solos. Eilish, Hermit, Regna, Nicia, Runewood, Valin Hauke, of course, but I'm not probably going to use him to summon anything. Then good old Raj, Lord Roget Divyaros. And then I do have 2 units of Cultist. One of them is a min, and the other one is a max that happens to have Orin Midwinter. So I ended up winning the role to determine first player or sides or whatever you want to do, the initiative role. I don't think Warmachine calls it an initiative role. I think they don't really call it anything, do they?
No, it's just a to-go roll. I do want to say you rolled a 1.
Yeah.
You landed on the flag, and I was nice. And I'm like, oh, you know what? That's cocked. Reroll. And then you roll a 5 to my 6, and you're like, oh, you still win. I'm like, no intelligence.
Yeah, because I forgot Runewood gives intelligence.
And then you reroll in 1, and I was like, man, This isn't fun.
Yep. So I did get it. I did take the first turn because I don't really care too much about the way that the 2 sides are set up. Like, there's not a whole lot of hindering like deployment terrain for me here. You ended up giving me the side with the trench though, and that hill, for what it's worth, is rough terrain, so it doesn't give cover like rubble or anything. So Nicia is just kind of chilling in there. Otherwise, my deployment is the cultists are kind of all set off on one side. The Tormentors are kind of spaced out to just kind of take the middle, and my gate's going to stay there in the middle so that I can influence anything that comes in. So there's like this 12-inch bubble of shooting death. It looks like turn 1 I've decided to get rid of Eilish.
Yeah,
which,
you took out Billy.
Yeah, I don't really know if getting rid of Eilish was the right call on this one. There's not a whole lot of upkeeps that I care about. Puppet Master's valuable because my objective is fuel cache so that I can save myself some ghostlies. But I think the gist with playing an Infernal list like this that doesn't have those throwaway summons like the Wretch, not that the Wretch is a throwaway summon per se, but it's pretty easy to just like chunk him and not worry too much about it. But I think the deal is that you look at the matchup and try to figure out on turn 1 and 2 which solos are going to be the most or the least valuable to you, and those are the ones you'd get rid of. And I really don't know if it was like if Eilish was the good one to get rid of here, but in general, I think he's probably the easiest one to get rid of right away.
Yeah, I mean, your only other easy choice is Nicia, just because she's AD and she goes up there. But like, there's no bad choice. It's just which one's not the worst.
You don't have a whole lot of things that she likes to shoot into. Like if I were playing against a bunch of small bases and no soul denial, then sure, Nicia would be like super keeper. But like the way it looks right now, there's not a whole lot that she can do, so maybe she was worthwhile. But at F16, like, she's still good to keep around. Eilish would just be like like kind of hanging around in the back throwing puppet masters. So maybe in the late game, like when I need
mean,
a
all your stuff's like
Tormentor.
Mat 7, and my stuff is pretty low def, especially with Fury. And then we missed there where Regna moved up and summoned a Foreboder.
Yeah, very important that I summon a Foreboder here. I think that's something that people don't do often.
No,
or
usually
they
it's
question you.
Shrieker or Bust, because Shriekers are just so stupid good.
Yeah, because like first of all, like Foreboders, they get that cool buff of movement when they get summoned, but they can't be arced through. So that's kind of like people feel like that's mopey, even though if it weren't like that, it'd still be kind of busted. But I have one in the battle group for Zaateroth, and I prefer one in Regna's battle group, and for this match in particular.
Yeah, and then there's Hauke moving up. He killed a couple cultists, and I got enough. Like, I got 4 Archons, a couple lesser Warlocks. Like, Dark Seduction is going to be money this game.
Exactly, yeah. Nope, Dark Seduction will be good, and that coming off of Regna is going to be nice. But for the Cultist thing, the Min unit really kind of exists here just to kind of fuel souls for Orin, because Knowledge of the Damned is such a powerful ability. So this way I don't have to wait to get that on him. So Valin Hauke kills 2, gives him 2 really important rerolls, and then the other 2 just exist to fuel Regna and Zaateroth back up after turn 1.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think here's where I'm gathering souls, but we pause the clock because this is the end of the turn, and that's not
we're
very...
taking the transition.
Yeah, so now we get to, like, tell people that we're doing the transition instead of just letting it happen naturally.
And that's fine.
Premium battle report.
What was I going to say? Oh, I was going to say something about Infernals OP, but if you came here looking for good insight about how to play Infernals, you came to the wrong place. I'm just going to be salty the whole time because Infernals. So then my turn 1, my deployment is almost symmetrical top. I have a Void Archon down. I got Little Pig next to Ninja Pig. There's a Archon next to him, the Dhunian, and then a Wrastler, Rask, Swamp Horror, and the other Dhunian, Dahlia Hallyr, Meat Thresher, and then the Void.
Yeah, it's a pretty symmetrical deployment for you. You've got like Archons flanking on each side mirrored, 2 heavies, and then 2 lessers, and then just like the Meat Thresher's the odd one out. I will take this small opportunity to just like say these models are not Ethan's fault. I just got this minion lot, and I was really excited to see him come down on the table. So if you want to complain about models not being painted, then you can throw that shade at me.
For once, it's not my fault.
Yep.
I know, like, and I never play painted, so this is nice. Rask went, he put Fury on Ninja Pig. He went Admo on the Wrastler, because I thought Admo was going to be super cute this game. And then, spoiler alert, I forgot about Countercharge. So Admo doesn't really do anything against Tormentors.
Yeah, Admonition's really good when you are a countercharge model, but not so good when you're playing against a countercharge model.
Yep. And then I took this side just because we're playing that as water, and as a Minions player, I can never give up the opportunity for my amphibious stuff to be sitting in water.
You're like contractually obligated to take water.
And then that top obstruction is, I can be on the other side of it and next to the flag. The big thing this turn is I did not feat with Rask. I was measuring threats because I'm like, okay, I'm not going to give him rights to torment because I don't have those models. The gobbers are not just going to be up there. He doesn't threaten far enough without rights for me to give it to him. And there, Ninja Pig is just so front heavy. I was trying to face him around, but so Ninja Pig runs up to the wall. Little Pig just walked because I didn't want him to charge and get sprayed.
Yeah, that Desolator could mess you up.
Mm-hmm.
Also, when you didn't feat with Rask, what was it that you said?
I'm living dangerously.
Yeah, I'm going to be greedy.
I'm going to be greedy and live on the edge. Because, like, Rask is comfortable feeding turn 1. Like, I've done it before, but I didn't think I needed it just because if I don't give him rights to torment, I'm fine.
Yeah, my threat range is very situational.
Yep. And I got Dhunian Archon, so, like, I can negate the Well shooting, Zaateroth shooting something. Because the Wastelander, which is proxied by Maximus, went up behind the wall next to Ninja Pig. The Wrastler ran up in threat of the 2-inch place from the Tormentor, but I'm like, oh, I have Admo. He can't get me. And then, like, I knew they have countercharge. I just know it.
Yeah, we I think we even talked about it a little bit.
Yeah, we did. We talked about threats before game. Wrastler ran up. Squiddy Boy ran up. And then all my lessers are putting up their or my lesser warlocks are putting up their upkeep spells because the new theme benefit lets them upkeep for free. Because I have not played minions in person. I played them on War Table since the Oblivion nerfs, aka like
The Oblivion changes.
the changes. No, that straight up nerfs that theme. They lose a free card, lose +2 speed running. Like my horror's only running 8 instead of 12 or 14 with Jaga is super sad. Void's just running up. Dhunians, I got 1 Dhunian on each side to protect the lessers. Maybe I should have just chosen them to stay with 1, but I figured having 1 on each side is fine. And then there's me keeping the goopers back, just to no rates of torment threats.
So for top of 2, I have some fun tricks in my side pocket, but I do have to say something first that this is my first game with Zaateroth, so Ethan was very kind with me being able to kind of reposition some things and kind of walk things back. This is not just about me learning the list, but it's also about kind of showcasing some of the options that Infernals have, and usually whenever I try a new Infernal Master, I just eat dirt with them. So things are going to look a little weird, and I'll probably play some clown music in the background so that you all know that I'm just being a total dip when it comes to doing the takesies backsies. So my goal, like the way I kind of start out my turns is probably not too far off from how most people start out their turns when I'm playing something a little techy, is like, what's like priority number 1? And for me, that's trying to use Regna's Foreboder to grab Rorsch. So Rorsch is not within an inch of the wall because you didn't want to charge up far enough for the sprays. So with being magic ability 5, that is really good for me because now I only need to connect with an 8, and with Dark Seduction boost, that shouldn't be too difficult for me to hit.
And with Knowledge of the Damned, like, I knew you summoned a Foreboder. I know she has Dark Seduction, and then, like, and I will say, at first here we're measuring the wrong Foreboder.
Yeah. So the most of my Infernals are kind of started painted because they were going to be part of my Adepticon thing, RIP. But the issue that I had with playing back then, at least, was that Foreboders were kind of looked at as like, why would you ever summon one? And now, like, with Dark Seduction being so good, I didn't get to painting them because I just didn't have them ready for Adepticon because I didn't care.
Yeah.
Especially with Omedemos.
And Dark Seduction now, like, since Dark Seduction works on Archons, like, it's such a good spell, like, because they are a warrior model. It doesn't say living.
Yeah, it doesn't say living.
Or
I think she can seduce an undead thing, so.
Yeah, it's real wonky.
But we finally end up getting the right one out here, and then I have to kind of tinker with things to make sure that it can.
Or no, she can't Dark Seduction Archon because Archons can't be taken control of.
Because they're like not inscrutable, but the divinity thing or whatever it is.
It's just Befuddle gets around that.
Gotcha, yeah. So we're just crossing some wires.
Then there's me measuring if maybe I could Admo Engage, which would be 4 inches, and he's just out.
Yep.
So I'm like,
but if he Admos and gets up there, then I could just take him too. So there's that. But I finally get, with the placement from the gate and not the objective being a butt, I finally get the Foreboder where it needs to go, and I believe now I'm having Regna go to Dark Seduction. I roll a 7 when I need an 8, and I was like, son of a bitch, that's why I need Orin there, because Orin's like just a few inches out from there. So this is where, since Ethan realized this was a big play for me and a mistake for him, that we were like, let's go ahead and make this work and get Orin and the cultists into position. So we roll. This is where the clown music will play, I'm sure. But like, she goes back and forth, and I was like, I shouldn't really take it because I'm not a takes backs person. You know, I usually play pretty clean, but we were like, let's just do this because it's something that people need to see.
Yeah, and I was like, I didn't feat. I said I was being greedy, and like, this is a play, and I'd rather you get to do it and actually showcase it. And I'm like, if you just walk this back and do this first, all that happens is you miss the first one. Now you got to re-roll it.
Yep. And while I was at it, I did fuel up that Desolator with those cultists that walked up. So that was a very efficient activation for them, and Orin's in place. He gets the reroll. We connect with like a 12 or something. And now Rorsch gets to move up, and I turn him backwards because I'm unfamiliar with all these movement shenanigans.
Yeah, I was nice enough to even ask too. Like, you turned him forward facing him. Like, do you want to turn him around?
Yeah.
And I had to look up if Pigpen would affect himself because he becomes an enemy model, but since he's the spellcaster, it wouldn't affect him.
Mm-hmm.
I was hoping Pigpen might keep him safe because that's rough terrain within 3 inches for enemy models.
Yeah.
So now I got Little Pig up there, turned around on 1 transfer. He's still in range of the Dhunian. So I'm like, this ain't good.
I think we might have took a second here to figure. You have one transfer, so we're trying to figure out if I can boost.
Yep, we were looking that up because like if you can boost that gun, like I'm real dead because now he can make a basic attack, and we had to look. We paused it. I looked up the rules, but boosting with Fury is activation only.
Yep. So
and I knew that because of Caliban, because Caliban's feat says you can out of activation.
Yeah, because there were a lot of good targets here for me to shoot at with a POW 12.
Yep, and if he can boost it into the Archon, not only does he get good damage, but then I'm like, I'm on no camp. Like, that's a dead piggy.
Yep. I also missed the shot, so it was all for naught.
Yeah, I know, that was funny.
But good thing for later, I guess, to have. So now we've got the pig there, and easy charge target for the Desolator, but I really would prefer to get the Tormentor so the Desolator can kind of pack back and not have to worry about things. But having, I do believe I didn't go over the spells that I put out on turn 1. I do have Scything Touch on the Tormentor that's standing closest to the gate. That's in the bottom part of the zone, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And then Zaateroth did get Rites of Torment up last turn. So here, Zaateroth moves up, and the goal is to Scything Touch, or Ghost Walk,
because Pigpen is up, so that back Tormentor was just out because of Pigpen.
So this is where we're wiggling Zaateroth back and forth now too. Like, this is just, if you want to know how to play clean, don't watch this. It's a car wreck.
But if you want to listen to me bitch about Infernals, because like the salt levels are real. Like I'm keeping it tame. Like, yeah, I'm fine. Like, you've summoned 1 heavy. You're already up 8 points on me. It's fine.
Yeah, when I looked at actually, I'm a little bit more than that because there's a Foreboder there too. So like I was at 92 points in my war room.
Well, you summoned Eilish, so he's 5. So that
so that he takes off 4. I think.
Spray Boy is 9.
5, yeah.
Gets you 9 points because he's 14.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 9, and then the 4. So you're only up 13 points on me right now.
Yep.
That's fine. It's fair. It's fair and balanced. Summoning is always fun.
So we figure out with the position of Orin, which I didn't want to roll back again to figure out where he's going to go. Zaateroth can't really go and get Ghost Walk onto that thing, but we find out that after just charging into it, I can get there with plenty of space.
Yeah, because he was close enough. And then we're seeing what his spray can tag, and then it ends up hitting Ninja Pig, and that spray with -2 armor is going to just be real bad.
Yeah, because then you go down to like, what, an 11-13 in the back? And that's like, or no, 11-14 because I'm dice damage.
Yeah.
So this is where you take it over because you were transferring, I think.
Yeah, at first I did, you did 8 damage. I think I rolled a tough check because I forgot I had that transfer because I thought I boosted it.
Yep, because we were talking about the boost thing.
Yep, so I decided just to transfer it.
Yep, and that did like a good 8 damage to the pig. And then we just are going to continue funneling attacks because you had the Dhunian Archon shut that one off.
Yep, Dhunian shuts that one. She takes 2 damage.
And then
you proceed to miss.
Yep, I miss one. Which I think that one should have hit because it was a 5 and you're an 11. I'm a 6, but irrelevant. I think at this point I was just like, I still had this cognitive dissonance about
was the
walking
transfer.
so many back.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, so we were just...
So there you miss.
And now the last one connects, and it should flatline him. Well, no, it shouldn't. I need to roll a little high for this, which I do. I crush the roll, but
then I tough.
You get a tough check, and he's tough. Woo!
So I was hoping you could see my dice in the tray up there, but like... I'm using the Q Workshop dice, I think that's what they're called.
Q Workshops.
For the ret ones, so like, on camera it's kind of hard. Maybe next time I'll put it down on the bottom.
In a perfect world, I would have like a dice cam, but like the space in here is just a little wonky.
It's a little cramped. So now, the fun fact about Little Pig, he has feign death, so I'm like, maybe he'll live.
Yeah, I was like, I can aim and shoot with Zaateroth, and this will be fine. She can boost the shot, and it's not a big deal.
And then I was nice enough to say, oh, he has feign death.
Yep. And then that doesn't happen for me. So now I'm trying to figure out what to do here. I want to trigger Rites of Torment so bad because the Tormentor that's hanging out right in front of this forest here is in a really spicy spot. but I don't have the ability to unpack another heavy in. Plus, like I said, I don't really want to because it's 2 heavies to kill Rosh and Brine, which is still worth it, but like I'd rather just do this more efficiently. So I decided to get a little spicy with Zaateroth, I believe now.
Yep. And like taking Ninja Pig off is real good because he threatens 17
he
inches.
Also threatens in such a weird way too. So like no matter what, he just gets into places where you don't appreciate it.
Yep.
So my goal here is I shoot my Desolator because I'm in the butt, he's knocked down, not engaged, so I don't need to worry about missing this.
With an AoE 4 that you boost blast damage and just crank it at dice -7.
Yep, so I just needed to get a little bit to beat down the pig, and that takes him out, and that gets rid of Rosh and Brine, so I no longer have to deal with that stupid pig.
That's always, like, I should have feeded, but I was not expecting the Dark Seduction play. Like, that was clutch. Like, that got me.
Very important that Rites of Torment moves that middle Tormentor into the woods. And now with the way that the woods are curved, I can see the Wrastler, and he is very well in threat.
Yes, and then when you move it is when I internally realize, oh god, they have countercharge.
Yep.
Why did I waste Admo on this?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I even knew that, because like, that's why I didn't put it on Rask. I'm like, you'll just get 2 charges on my caster.
Yep. No, that'd be no bueno. So like I think this is another weird takesy backsy where I'm like I guess I didn't take it back because I didn't move him up. We were talking about like the Foreboder is going to cause some problems here, but I just move Valin Hauke and make it not a problem.
And that's where he flips it to me, and you can see the anger in my eyes and the frustration as I'm like, if I add Mo back into my zone farther away, he's going to countercharge and contest my zone and get a free charge.
Exactly, yeah.
And I'm like, if I move forward, like, there's just no point. So I was like, maybe I'll live and get to keep it.
Yeah.
In a perfect world where a dice damage.
I think also I cycled Scything Touch onto this one because I didn't have Scything Touch in the place where I really needed it to be. So, well, not that I didn't need it there. It was just that it wasn't an unlikely like I planned to try and make this happen. It was just as the Rites of Torment unfolded, I realized what was going on here. So Zaateroth had to change plans and get to the Wrastler. Because I think taking off Rosh and now I've taken off the Wrastler, like that's a massive blow on the top of 1 or top of 2.
Oh yeah, losing Rage is huge because Rask built in has a +3 strength swing from Rage, +3 strength swing from Fury, and then
the Voids can give you
Dark Shroud for an 8 strength swing. And I'm like, that's pretty good.
Yeah, if my Tormentors are too close together, you could easily take out 2 of them with 1 heavy.
Yep, I've had Ninja Pig kill 2 heavies in an activation.
Yep.
And it's hard to stay out of it with Overtake and Reach on some of the heavies. Like, it gets wonky.
Probably the greatest thing about this play was that the Tormentor is ending up with having 1 essence left on it.
So annoying. Like,
whenever you end an activation of a do-work activation with a heavy in Infernals, the best essence to be on is 1.
Yeah, because like it's gonna tithe down the 0, and then I'm gonna be left with a choice. Do I ignore it and hope you don't allocate to it, or do I have to waste my activation killing a model that you might not even worried about? Like, it's really frustrating.
So the one thing that's happening here is I think Nicia took a pot shot at the Void Archon, and it just didn't connect.
Yeah, behind the wall, he's def 18, so even with luck, and then she just repoed the contest that flag.
And it's an AoE 3, but the scatter didn't matter either. There's nothing over there that I can do anything to. Your list is surprisingly thick, and not like it's got armor and wounds, right? But it's a small footprint list. But like Nicia's gun just isn't doing work. So.
No, like I have high quality models. I don't have quantity. Like besides the goobers, and the goobers were not going anywhere near her.
Yeah, they're in the list if Rask has a good hidey hole for them, or you need a zone you can score.
Yep, that is literally why those 2 points are in here, just so I can have a zone.
Yep.
So going into bottom of 2, and I've already lost the will to live.
And Zaateroth did feat, so your will to live was maybe stripped away a little bit by that.
Oh, yeah. I have tools against it. Rask has a paralyzed gun. Scareth has a paralyzed bite.
And it's not like Tormentors are sporting the biggest defensive stats in the universe.
It's still real frustrating to know that if I miss one attack, I'm going to trade a heavy for something that's worth less points.
This is the best deal for top of other players' turn when you're playing Infernals, is that tithe actually doesn't happen at the end of your turn. It happens at the beginning of someone else's when they remind you.
Sure, just do it on their clock.
Yep.
It's fine.
Yep.
So there I'm thinking through. I've lost Rage. Fury's off the table because it was on Ninja Pig. And I can't even, I'm thinking what I can do with the Voids. I'm like, if I spray those back cultists, Orin's probably going to get the souls if I can hit. Because luckily, I was able to get the soul from Little Pig. So, there's a saving grace.
Yeah, I was hoping to get that, but the Void Archon was close enough.
And then there's me measuring if I can walk over the building and spray Nicia, because I think she's out of feet. I didn't measure it at this point. And spray her with the Void without getting a counter charge, because I've learned my lesson there. And there I just barely fly over it. And I think she's only def 14, so I'm like, I can hit her. And then you're like, yeah, she's def 16.
She's got some baller stats.
Yeah, and I'm like, I need a 10. I was hoping to spray kill her in place on the flag.
Yeah, if this was Eilish, it would be no question he's dead. But Nicia, she's got some good defensive stats.
Yep. And then I'm like, oh, off to a good start. This is my rallying back turn.
Yep, that was not him actually doing work to anything. That was me killing the Summon Desolator that got tithed off.
Yep, because you forgot to remove it.
Well, and I couldn't get anything close enough to put Essence on it, and then I also couldn't, well, not to mention the Cultists already did their thing, and the Hermit wasn't close enough, and I just said, screw it, I should have kept one on it so I could tithe, but I didn't.
And then there's Rask feeding, because I'm like, I'm going to make sure to
Now
do
we're
that
gonna
this turn.
feed.
Yeah. I'm aiming, and I'm going to shoot a paralyzed gun with a boost just to make sure I hit it. I think I boost damage just because why not? Because I want to do enough damage to kill it.
Yep.
And then
I don't think you break it.
No, I rolled real bad.
But you got the paralyze, and that means that my feat is not really going to help him.
I mean, it still matters because I'm only mat 6, so I need 4s with my mat 6 heavies, and if I miss once...
Then it's kaput. Then
at least with the Swamp Horror, I have 4-inch melee with pull. And then there's me counting out what I need to do with my Fury. Because I think I'm going to cycle Fury over onto Danger Wiggle, or I already did. I think that's the token behind her. I can't see behind her. Yep, nope, there it goes. And I Boundless Charge her, because she does not have Pathfinder base to get through those woods. Because I'm going to need her to do some work. And they're measuring my feet. I'm like, yep, that Void flew out of my feet. Because I wanted him to go over far enough so I wouldn't have to put down a Veil of Mists. That's why I took that side with the building, just so I could Veil of Mist through it. Horror's going up. No Fury, no Rage on him. I'm going to just try and destroy a full health Tormentor at dice -3.
Yeah, it's a tough call for a Swamp Horror.
Hey, but if I crit Amputate... Oh, wait. Crit Amputate doesn't work on Horrors.
Yep.
Just like every other rule doesn't.
Hey.
No.
I do think that their damage grid is a little bonkers. They shouldn't really even have systems because they literally don't matter.
No, or it should be reversed. It should start from the inside out, because, it takes, 12 damage just so you can't run or charge for free?
Well, and then I just get that from the theme anyways, so, the first system doesn't matter.
No, and, even if I break it, we're probably in melee, so, it doesn't really matter. And then by the time you take out the second grid... If you've taken out the second grid, you should have killed it because it's got 4 boxes left.
Yeah, there's a cool little healing sub-theme within the Cultist, but you very rarely ever see anyone do anything with it because the Tormentor either dies or it very much lives and has everything it can do.
Yeah.
So they don't. There's no there's nothing to go with that. Tormentors are just too survivable for what you do. They're too survivable for the benefit or the penalties that they get put on them for losing systems.
And then their Wastelander charges past him because parry.
The Kraken didn't finish it.
Nope. And then with Decap, I think does 4, which doubles to 8.
Yep, and that just got him by 1 box. Barely got him.
Yeah,
with that.
It was rough. I was measuring if you could sprint to that flag. I'm like, you'll eat a counter charge and die. So I just sprint back behind the wall.
Yep.
Wastelander's really cool. He goes in every minions list I make these days.
I think he's a solid solo, and it's unfortunate that Magnus is just kind of the best moment he's getting right now is just acting as the Wastelander.
Yeah.
I think that they kind of just swap places, really.
And then the Spell Slave actually put Boundless Charge up on Danger Wiggle, and it's Maximus. You called him Magnus.
I'm sorry. We were talking about Magnus earlier because of the Wisconsin League.
Yeah, and I'm running Magnus 1 in that.
Yep.
But that's some other jank. So they are measuring out Scareth can get in and engage both of them. That way I don't eat a counter charge, because that's going to really suck.
Yeah, because just around this forest, you've barely got the bend to be able to get a line on that Tormentor, which is really unfortunate because I could have really changed that.
Yep, and then there, the camera died for a second, so I'm just going to kind of run through what I did. Scareth ended up charging, but first, Dahlia ran up behind the woods there. That's her to the right of it. She's camping 2. She has Haunting Melody up, and I have 2 Dhunians in range of her.
Yep, so she's super safe.
Yep, and I placed that left one within 4 inches in case she gets Dark Seductioned away. That way she'd still be in the 10 inches. Danger Wiggle was able to kill that first Tormentor, but didn't have enough attacks.
I think you needed all your attacks to kill that Tormentor, if I remember right.
Yep, because I didn't have Fury, so that would have been an extra 9 damage. Or I didn't have Rage.
Yep.
And I opted not to buy the last attack. That way I could transfer. And at best, I could have, after I overtook, I could have taken a shot at, what's his nuts? The guy who has
Runewood.
all the rules. Yep, Runewood, the master of every single rule. I could have taken an attack on him because maybe it would have been safe enough, but I didn't want to risk it after losing 1 lesser already, top of 2. Yeah. And then the Meat Thresher went in because I'm like, I need to kill Nicia, because if I kill Nicia, that Archon could have ran to the flag. He rolls up 1 shot, which is D3 plus 1. He misses the boosted 10 charge.
Yeah, you got like a 7 to hit. It was real bad.
And then I missed both shots into her. So, like, there's a Meat Thresher just sitting there.
Just chilling on a 4-point solo.
Yep, not even in the zone. Because we had talked earlier about Henge 2, and I'm like, oh, it has repo to get in that zone, and then it doesn't.
That's the secret to beating your opponents is like just like start mentioning casters that bring rules for the models they have that the model doesn't have itself, and then you can just trick them into.
I even started the whole rank. So I'm like, I played Meat Thresher's pre-Oblivion Sid with this thing. Like, this is almost the list I brought to Warmachine Weekend back in 2018, and like, Meat Threshers should just have repo base. That's the thing that makes me the maddest about Henge 2's card. That should just be base on a Meat Thresher, and now that it's on her card, they're never going to get it. But that's my side rant. And then I just moved around some Archons. Top zone, Goober ran behind the obstruction to contest that flag just to be difficult. And then I have Fort, of course, Dahlia there in the middle. I think that's pretty much everything that happened. I only scored my zone, didn't score any of the flags, and I was able to kill 2 heavies on your feet just from paralyzing.
Yep, just 2 heavies. So, and I think, no, never mind. So, yeah, you kill 2 heavies, and then you weren't quite able to get anything into the zone to contest, so
Nope.
I'm still not worried too much about scenario right now.
Yep. In a perfect world, Danger Wiggle was 2 inches away from that zone when she charged, and I'm like, okay, if she can overtake twice from the theme, kill both of those Tormentors, or 1 and then a solo and get into the zone, then I can contest.
And that was, I think, when you were doing that math and the placement, you were thinking like, yeah, the snake should be able to do that just because of the fury buff. But then without it, it was
without rage. It's kind of hard, and
it
took my charge and 3 bought attacks.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
well, one of those was real mopey. So
yeah, I rolled real bad, and I was like, luckily I didn't miss. I ran Dahlia up there for the bond because her bond is against enemy models in her control. Danger Wiggle gets an additional die to hit. So I could boost for 4 dice to hit and then paralyze.
Yep.
And she has crit consume. That was going to be my secret Hermit tech, but Hermit was hiding way on the other side.
Yeah, he's way in that trench with Zaateroth right now.
So I score 1. It's 1-1. I'm down on points, and clock is pretty even. So it's not great.
Yeah, it's not great, but it's not terrible.
I wouldn't go that far. It's Infernals.
Yeah.
If you're not ahead, you're losing. And if you're ahead, they just haven't summoned enough heavies.
So top of 3 comes around, and Last turn I didn't get to summon a heavy because Zaateroth just had so much she needed to do with her essence that it just wasn't in the cards, and I didn't feel, not that I didn't feel like, but I just didn't sack Roget to do it, or a good old Raj. So I'm a little bit down on the output, so I need these 2 Tormentors to do a bunch of work and then make sure that I can set one up for later so that I can get work out of them. Because I think right now I don't really feel like I need a Desolator, so like my summoning plans are already kind of put into my head. Like Raj is going to go down this turn and turn into a Tormentor. But we'll see kind of how I'm going to untie that, because these the 2 Tormentors that are left, they have jobs. It's just that I don't really know how I want to unpack that or how I need to. So I start out with getting my Gate souls. They get 2 this turn, which feels good to me because I can do my placement and then maybe get a good shot somewhere. But I think I end up abandoning the placement thing because I don't really need it right now.
Nah, the lines are so gummed up that you don't really need it.
But I do think I'm kind of flirting with activating Zaateroth and trying to figure out where the feat is with Rask, like what's in, what's out. And Rask's feat will never be like okay to go into. Like his feat turn is always just going to take you some time to unwrap and see what you can do. Like essentially the good thing about it though is that Ethan's kind of left me with like not really having to do a whole lot with Rask's feat, because everything that I want to kill is in my face. So I won't be able to do things like put something on the Swamp Horror or try to take down some of the Archons other than maybe the Void. But like getting rid of Scareth and getting rid of that Meat Thresher, those are need to have happen things. So like the feat just doesn't feel super impactful right now. But I think if you don't feat, then you don't get a feat ever.
No, and like I need to protect the backlines, and then there you're shooting my Meat Thresher. Like,
yep.
It failed its one job to kill Nicia, so like I've literally given it for nothing.
Yep.
And that does not feel good to me.
I do quite a bit of damage to this.
Yeah.
I think I half health it.
Yeah, it's down to 19.
Go. Like those shots were money, but I didn't do the placement, so I didn't need to do that there. So I think I missed the point where Zaateroth moved up and put on Scything Touch and all that stuff, and I was like, okay, or that just happened now, sorry.
Yep.
And then I had to like cue clown music, move back a little further and say, okay, Roget needs to go because he's not, I can't summon anything here because it's just going to bump into the stupid gate. So I needed to move him out and just put that Tormentor there. So it's probably not the ideal place for the Tormentor to be, but since I was like, I'm tired of all these takebacks, it doesn't feel right. So I'm just like, I'm going to get this out and then not look like an idiot.
You never look like an idiot to me.
I don't know. When you watch me play Infernals, it's pretty rough.
And I'm playing into Infernals.
I think I played
a rough time
my first Agathon game. I missed summoning twice in a row and then died to Stygian Abysses from Silvestro, all because I decided to go no camp when Roget could have just like saved me for stupid essence, because like my gate went down. So like it was just a really bad game. Like my first Agathon game was trash.
Or Agathon games should just end with you killing your opponent's caster.
Yeah, I know that's how it should work. But if you're like playing the game backwards and trying to like work a solitaire game at the same time, I think that's maybe how it works.
Yep.
When I say solitaire, I mean the actual game solitaire, not like I'm playing against myself, because I've done enough of that already.
Their Nicia charged the Void, only did like 4 damage to it.
Yeah,
the Void was out of my feet.
I was flirting with trying to get a charge on the Meat Thresher, but at like POW 8 Weapon Master against ARM 19 with like 20 boxes or something like that left, it just wasn't worth it. So with Acrobatic and Parry, I just charged the Void and hope for some good spikes, and I think I only do a couple damage to it.
Yeah, you did 4. Sits down to 8. And then there's the Welsh. Not the Well. I keep calling it the Well because I think it's a better Well of Ouroboros. Because of Ghost Shot. It shot my poor little dude. Boosted the first one that didn't have enough to reload. So it's pretty low.
Yeah, that's right, because I boosted instead of reloading. Yep. So it was Zaateroth who shot the Meat Thresher.
Shot first.
I just mixed those two up. So it's easy. It's easy for me to do, I guess, because they're both kind of like the same-ish gun. Yep. Like real-ish, but same.
And then their what's-her-face is moving up to be within 5.
Regna got the fuel cache thing, so I think now after we're 40 minutes into this game roughly, I finally tell you what kind of objective I took. Yep. So we're moving her up into the woods. I want to try and Dark Seduction her so that I don't have to, like, I can just, like, get someone on her and not have to worry about where she, or I was thinking maybe I can just get her with something.
you missed the Dark Seduction, but like, what were you gonna do? She has Haunting Melody
know,
up, so
yeah,
nothing
that's-
could attack her besides your.
Besides my guns or my spells.
And like, I have not two hermits, but I have two hermit like effects there that negate it. So I was like,
It was like part of a plan that I had in my head before I started shooting the meat thresher down, and like it still was in my head that I hadn't shot yet. So like that was the hope, was like move her up and then maybe take some shots at her, but then like it just wasn't. I'm just gonna kill this stupid snake and Dahlia can just do whatever.
you cursed it, and with Fury, so now you only need 4s to hit because you're at 7.
Because you have Fury, you have Fury on it, so it pulls it down quite a bit.
And your dice +2 with Sidling Touch, like your 12-point heavy is murdering my 16-point heavy with like Essence to spare.
Yep.
And I think it has enough to buy attacks into the meat thresher once it goes through and just.
Yeah, because my original plan here was to move over, kill the meat thresher, and then have that other Tormentor try and charge the snake with Rites of Torment. But I think I drop Rites of Torment this turn. Did I? No, she's still got it up.
Yep.
And that was the goal, was to Rites the Tormentor on the top side of the screen forward, so he could charge in and then take out Scareth, while the other one took out the meat thresher. But I even have enough to pay tithe with this guy too.
Yeah, like Hordes, like when they're just really, really good.
It's weird. Like I'm not gonna get on a infernal soapbox or anything, but
I'm trying not to be salty.
Whenever any game system introduces a summoning mechanic or like a new mechanic like this, it always seems to have like this growth period of like they put it out after it's been tested and tested and tested, and it just doesn't feel quite right. Like for Warmachine, with it being such a peace trade game, I think that the horrors are just a little too much. Like the summoning is fine, the process of how you get them out is fine, but they just seem too good for what they do.
They're just 12-point heavies that are better than my heavies.
Yeah.
For more expensive. Like I play Circle, like paying 17 points for a Warpwolf Stalker and then seeing a 12-point Tormentor.
Playing trolls too. Like like anything trolls is crazy expensive. So I get it. So enough of dragging on Infernals and maybe how the horrors are a little too good.
Yeah, we could have a whole video of me just being salty.
Exactly. So I end up using Rites of Torment to move the Tormentor back, so I'm out of threat of the Void Archon and...
You just measured the Swamp Horror.
Or no, the Swamp Horror was the one I was worried about, because the other two I don't care so much. And then Valin Hawk decided to move back too. But I'm able to clear my zone out, so I do score 1. So I'm up on Ethan, and there's a Foreboder in your zone contesting right now.
Yep. So... So going into my turn 3, I'm down on CPs. I have 1 heavy to his 3, where she's going to keep replenishing. So, like, I'm not in a good spot in my mind. My feat's over. I have to do work this turn. I'm measuring what can contest the flag, because I think I need to make a push for control points this turn. So originally I give Pathfinder for my objective to the Swamp Horror, because I think he's going to have to clear that middle zone. And I start measuring. He stayed out of threat of the Swamp Horror, but Rask makes things threaten super far. So I was like, what if I Boundless Charge my Void Archon? So now he's speed 8, charges 11, 1-inch melee, but I can elasticity him to give him reach. So now he threatens 13, and that's within. And then we're measuring like where I can charge. Can I charge him beyond the flag and reach him? And I think we end up, after pushing out some widgets, we realize I can. So like I know 1 Void Archon with 1 soul can't do it. So then I gotta figure out what else I can do. And I think we'll get to that eventually, but there's my soul from poor Piggy.
Yep. I think one of the things about Rask lists that are always interesting is it seems like they get built in this like very Yu-Gi-Oh way. Like, I'm not a Yu-Gi-Oh player, so I'm probably not going to get any of these references right, but like the Exodia thing where like you just like have all these pieces that come together to make this one big thing. So you can have this one big threat range going on or one big damage swing going on. Like it's kind of like the ultimate package, and that's how Rask lists always feel to me.
Rask is really good at sending out something super far, hitting super hard. He's good at sending out 2 hard-hitting targets a turn by like Boundless Charging, swapping Fury, and then getting Boundless Charge from the Spell Slave. So he's really good at sending out individual targets that are good at clearing big models. but all of his stuff is mat 6 generally, so it can be a little bit rough when there's more infantry.
Yeah, you're missing that hit buff.
Yep. He does everything but hit buff. He extends threat, he cranks damage,
and he delivers the battle group.
And he delivers the army with his feet. But the one thing he doesn't do is help with the mat 6.
He also has a hard resource. He's got a hard resource game to deal with, too.
Yeah, because he's only Fury 6. Like, that's the biggest limiter on most Minions casters in my mind, and even Mercs, is that 6. And then there are the Voids walking around, making sure I'm not going to spray my own dude. So I take a punch into her just to see what's going to happen. Finally hit it with the boost. And then I crank her.
Yeah, it doesn't take much.
So I
like
got
armor
a soul
10
from Zaateroth. That was one of the things that got neglected.
Yeah, Zaateroth did give up a soul for the Void.
And then I'm like, okay, what if I teleport to the other side of this flag? Can I get some sprays to try and clear that zone or clear that flag? Like, this is nice. So then I'm lining up Rat 6, both those guys there are def 13. There I'm just making sure that we can skirt the woods. And there's just a line if I target, because I can target Runewood in the back. It's just making sure the force isn't blocking line of sight to the Foreboder. So I need 7s. So I decide, once we get there, I opt just to hard roll the first 7 on the Foreboder, miss, and then I boost the 1 on Runewood, just because I got the soul from Nicia. I hit it. I'm like dice damage, I think.
Yeah, I think it was, POW 14 is, it's dice damage.
So I crank him out. I get the soul. Or at first I thought I got the soul from him, but then we realized, like, you get the soul because
you can't deny me friendly souls.
Yep. Soul Ward only stops enemy models from collecting souls from friendly models.
Yep. And I think the gate was was closer than Orin to get it, which is like really unfortunate because now I can't roll the D3 and I might want this thing to actually do stuff next turn.
Yep. And then there I'm measuring where Rask has. Oh no, the Boundless Charge bot puts Boundless Charge on the Void. And now there I'm measuring the Wastelander threat because he's speed 7 with 1-inch melee, but what if I Boundless Charge him and Elasticity him too? Because now he threatens. He goes up to speed 9, charge 12, threatens 14. I'm like, if I can get both of them with Fury on probably the Wastelander, I think I can kill that guy.
Yeah, it's not unlikely. I mean, decap on a Weapon Master that is high POW, like, that'll do some work.
Yep.
And the Void Archon just kind of exacerbates that with, first of all, having a lot of attacks on its own, but then giving you Dark Shroud. So the Tormentor, he's at the very edge of where he can contest that flag, which was where I really needed him. But I am happy that Hauke isn't in threat range at all, but it's unfortunate to see this piece still under threat.
Yep. And there I'm going through the math. I'm like, if I do that, eventually we come to the realization I can't Elasticity both of them and get Boundless Charge on the Wastelander and put out Fury. So I got to ditch Fury because I need Elasticity on both of them and I need Boundless Charge. And then I'm like, I'm going to be camping 0, and then I got to figure out, am I just going to die?
Yeah, this is where that resource management comes up. So even with the Soul Slave, you've kind of played a little bit on the KG enough side to where like threat ranges are really hard to make happen. So
yep.
It's just the unfortunate situation that you found yourself in.
And there I'm measuring, like, I thought I needed Boundless Charge on the Swamp Horror because I ended up giving Pathfinder to Dahlia to make sure she could contest that zone.
Yeah, with Fuel Cache. I think that bounced around a couple times too.
Yep, I just settled on Dahlia because she needed to get in that zone with Haunting Melody. And there I'm trying to see if I can overtake through and clear that zone because it's hard to see Regna in the forest, but she's there, and so is the Foreboder.
Yeah, she's just got like a base coats on her, so she's still pretty dark looking.
Yep. So like there I'm like, okay, I was debating, like, okay, Boundless Charge on him, Boundless Charge here, and I think this is where I figure out Fury math. And I'm like, wait, I can't Fury.
Yeah,
so
we were talking about it and saying that Fury is where your wiggle room is because it's like you don't, like, if you get Fury out there, it means you're not getting one of those delivered and you just can't live in that world.
No, and I need it. So like, I gotta figure out if I can overtake in without Pathfinder on my Speed 4 Swamp Hordes, because I can get within 4, but then I'm not within 3 of the forest. And like it takes some heeing hawing, which I'm fine with spending this turn because I'm low on resources and I need to score all the elements I can just to try and maybe push a scenario lead at the end because his solos are pretty condensed. and it's going to be hard for him to score the bottom flag. The top one I can contest behind that rock for a couple turns, so I'm not too worried. But
yeah, my list at this point feels like it's not going to close the scenario out. It's more of in a don't lose on bunkers mode, which is why I've got heavies contesting flags. But I'm also really low on time, which is another thing you can use against me, because like when I play lists like this, it's a little bit harder for me to close out these late games because I don't have the reps with the list, so it just takes a while for me to identify my plans.
Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to figure out if Rask goes zero camp, what can get to me, and because I think that's like I have to do this. He has to go on zero camp if I need a chance. So I'm like, if he goes all the way back, gets within 6, I realize I can stay in my cool little pool for concealment, be back, and still get the buffs out within 6. But I'm like, okay, she can walk 6. I thought her gun was range 10, but I knew her nuke was range 10 because I was planning on killing the Foreboder, so I didn't think there'd be any arc nodes. So there the Void goes in, gets his max reach, gets on the flag. Like we measured, I nudged him before, and then we nudged the flag, but we knew he could get there.
Yeah, we knew that was going to be there, so it was just a little bit of a
and then my charge roll Snake Eyes.
Yeah, that was really unfortunate, because I think you tried to lead with the spray first, and then as your dice were midair, you were like, no, I have to charge first, so I get the boosted die, and then that's when the double ones drop.
Yep. So I did the second attack, hit, boosted damage, did the spray, did minimal damage. So you can see, like, he's pretty much half health. Like, he's pretty good.
Yeah, he's not sitting too bad in terms of survivability. Like, losing that charge attack really hurt.
Oh, yep. And now Wastelander charges his 12 inches and then his reach for 14. No Fury, so he's only effectively a POW 12 Weapon Master with Dark Shroud. He hits it, and then he cranks damage here.
But leaves him on 6.
Yep.
Which is the exact Fury.
Yep, if I had Fury'd him, it would have killed, but if I would have hit the charge at dice -4,
it probably would have worked.
Yep. So like I can't score that top flag. I'm like, okay.
Yep.
So I got to try and score this bottom flag or the middle flag. So Swamp Horror goes up. He's going to try and kill Regna. Get within 4 inches from my tentacle. Boost the hit. Miss. Boost the second tentacle. I hit. But it's only a POW 12.
Yeah, it's dice off 2 on her, so you roll and leave her on 1 box.
Yep, I did a 6 because she has no essence on her.
So there's no overtaking and no getting to that Foreboder.
Yep, because I had the buy an attack and then finish her off. Or not finish her off, but I had to take an attack and then I killed.
Yep, because she was so, like, you would have rolled double ones and she'd be okay, but that was it. So
yep. So I just decided to overtake him back.
And now I think you're wondering if what the melee range is on this thing.
Nah, scare. Yep.
Or and no, it was if it was living.
Yep, because I was running through with Haunting Melody, so we can't make melee. Living Miles can't make melee attacks while targeting him, and I'm like, if this thing's on like not living, like I just die.
Yeah.
But
now the Dhunian Archon's coming in to try and put some damage on the Foreboder.
And I rolled a 3 at dice +4.
Yep, so you get his first system, which is irrelevant, but leaves him on 7 or 8 boxes.
Yep. I realized afterwards I would have had to roll a 10 to kill. So
but that's not a hard ask, like if you're fishing for it.
Yep. The second Dhunian runs up to stay within 10 of Dahlia just for that Threads of Life. So I only score 2 points.
Yeah, you go from 1 to 3, and then I don't score any because I'm contested.
Yep.
So I think we're at the top of 4 now, and I've got a little over 13 minutes left on here, and I'm not quite sure what my plan is. Like, I can use the top Tormentor to probably kill both the Wastelander and the Void Archon, like if I can crank it up with Essence. My cultists are kind of in a place where they probably could make that happen, but I won't be able to get full Essence on all of the Tormentors, so like it comes to... Now I'm thinking, does Zaateroth need to allocate anything to make this work? And then the more I sit here and think about it, the more I'm thinking, like, Rask is sitting on nothing. He's within walk and shoot range of Zaateroth. So I think this is my out for the game, just to kind of roll it, because I think eventually if I keep going, I know for sure with unlimited time I can attrition you down to nothing and contest you in ways to where it's just hard for you to get back at all. But with as little time as I have, I feel like my better out here is to just go for Rask. So instead of trying to make things like make a scoring situation for myself, which is going to be kind of hard with those gobbers behind the rock and all that garbage around the middle of the flag, especially the impervious flesh swamp horror, I decide to free up the Foreboder that has lived by having the Tormentor walk up and start punching on that Dhunian Archon. And the nice thing here is that the Archons aren't considered to be living, so they can't stop each other's damage.
They can't threads of life each other.
Yep, so that goes down, which means that the Foreboder's up and running. Now, I had said that I can get within walk and shoot range with Zaateroth, but I'm not quite close enough to get into walk and Stygian Abyss range, so I wanted this Foreboder to be able to get in range of Rask. And then I throw my tape measure down and realize, if I just teleport her with the gate, then I could get there. But she's got the fuel cache buff this turn, so she walks up, and I've got a pile of 8 essence on me because the Hermit ended up cranking my essence up, which he can take you over your essence value,
which is fun.
Yep. I needed a 10 to hit you, and I rolled a 9 for that first shot. And I should have had Valin Hauke go first and kill some of these cultists to get those important rerolls on Orin, but I opted out of that. So I boost the second shot and hit and do a ton of damage to Rask. I think he's sitting on 7.
You did 11 damage.
Yeah, 11
at dice
damage.
-1.
So for this next one, I've only got 3 essence left, so I decide to hard roll a Stygian Abyss. I need a 10 to connect with you again.
Yep.
And that's rough without Orin here, but I figure this is where I'm at, so I'm just going to go for it, and maybe I'll die to not a Kraken, but a thing.
Yeah, because I'll paralyze you, and then that Swamp Horror is going to kill you.
Yep. So now we got boxcars to hit, and I needed a 7 to close it out, and Zaateroth takes the game.
Yep.
So overall, I think that the Dark Seduction play at the beginning is what really tilted the game experience. I think if that Dark Seduction doesn't happen, I have to play KG with Zaateroth, and from there it's just we're gonna have a trading match of heavies with that forest in the middle, and you'll have to maybe respect my counter charges that come up here and there. Plus, then I've got Ninja Pig running around in that Wrastler pumping more damage, so your attacks are just more efficient into me. But getting those 2 heavies on the top of 2 was ridiculously huge.
That was rough. In my head, I was like, is that game? I thought I could maybe fight back, but that's huge. Losing, what was that, 31 points worth of models against an army that's just summoning more heavies. You can't lose the peace trade against Infernals. Otherwise, it's just going to snowball.
Yep.
And you didn't even summon a couple turns just because you needed the essence. But
no summon this turn and no summon on turn 2, I think, because I was juggling upkeeps.
Yep, because my heavies are more expensive than his. Yeah, they come with solos, but that also ties them. So, when Little Pig died, Ninja Pig's gone. And then, vice versa. Or not vice versa, because the little guys stay around.
Yeah.
But, you're just replenishing your heavies, and I can't afford to lose my more expensive heavies, the cheaper options that just replenish themselves.
Yep.
Because it's not sustainable.
I think the initial shock of me taking those heavies early made it so that you didn't get really dangerous with some of your other pieces, since you couldn't really afford that on the peace trade level. So then normally not a bad idea to go into Infernals is to try and pepper off some of those solos when they're a little bit more up in the business, like how Nicia was, but you'd struggled with her, but trying to pick out Orin if you can, or any other Mark Soul. But I guess it's Valin Hauke, Orin, and the Hermit that are left, so I can unplug those if I need to make heavies, but for the most part you're still having a hard time getting to them.
No, and when you took those heavies, you feeded I couldn't really do much. I knew I could paralyze 2 heavies at most, maybe 3 if I got cute with Dahlia and she bought an attack instead of finishing off 1.
Yeah.
But it's
an uphill battle for you, especially after losing that huge swing at the top of.
Because I positioned turn 2, I just completely forgot about Dark Seduction. I wasn't scared of rights because I'm not getting them any rights targets, And then, that play was really clutch.
Yep, I think the biggest things to watch out for when you're playing against Zaateroth is, like, and it's all tied to Rites of Torment, but, like, if you have a scoreable objective early, watch it, and if you have anything that can be influenced by Dark Seduction, like, that's another thing you got to keep an eye out for. Like, I almost think that, like, if your opponent has Dark Seduction targets, I don't really care. Like, I'll summon a Foreboder turn 1 almost every time.
Yeah, because the Shrieker wouldn't have done much in this matchup, I think. Because, like,
just be a thing that runs around and has Wailing that does nothing.
Wailing, like, could stop my buff, so my heavies can one round it before Rask activates.
Yeah, you can waste it. I mean, even, like, 2 Dhunian Archons probably just, like, get it.
They're at 7, POW 12s.
A Morrow and Archon can get one, so I feel...
Yeah, I'm playing with... I will just say Hordes Archons worse than Warmachine Archons.
I guess, like, the Morrow and Archon did need, like, Curse of Veils or whatever, Curse of Not Shadows to do it, so... Yeah. But that was the game. This was a fun one, even though it was, like... me doing a lot of back and forth, take C's, back C's, even though that's not my normal thing. I think, like, I'm misrepresenting my play philosophy here, but, like, Infernals is just not something I've gotten a lot of time under my belt with. Like, I've played more Hearts of Darkness than anything, and that's
like Infernals light.
Yeah, you just don't get those rules. Like, Regna can do some stuff, and that's about it. But, like, the summoning economy, the idea of, like, holding back a lot, because you'll hear a lot that Infernals are a late game faction or mid game faction, really.
Yeah, that sounds accurate.
And I think that it really goes against a lot of what we do as players. Like, we always want to start the peace trade first, so, like, you might dangle a heavy out there, but for Infernals, for all the points that our heavies are not worth, losing 1 or 2 to a peace trade early is still not a good place to be, because then you're kind of on the back foot of replacing those heavies instead of trying to go over your normal starting amount to kind of crush your opponent with those numbers.
Yep, instead of snowballing, you're just staying even.
Exactly,
and then you're playing a fair game. But, like, when Infernals snowball, like, it's hard to come back the attrition trade, especially if your heavies are not overcosted, but especially with Hordes, because you're paying for that animi. There's just no ifs and or buts, and, like, Tactician countercharges are just so...
It is a real pain in the butt.
Annoying.
And Zaateroth has, like, a really deep toolkit for what it is. I mean, at first you, like I didn't even get to use Black Spot in this game, and that's just a huge part of what she brings to. Like, there's so much that Zaateroth can do. Like, I know that a lot of Infernal players seem to really gravitate towards Omidamos because, like, he's probably... he's among the conversation for one of the best sculpts in the game, but, like, when it comes to his intricacies of how he works on the table, there's not really much to him. He's super simple.
He's a synergy caster that summons more 12-point heavies for synergy.
Yep. But then you'd look at someone like Zaateroth, and she gives you, like, a really interesting look into Infernals and what it means to play them, in that she brings a lot of interesting tech pieces, a lot of interesting spells that can change the situation on the table. She can adapt to almost anything. I think it's why she gets into a lot of pairings.
She just kind of does everything. She has a threat extender with Rites. She has a to-hit buff with Blind and Black Spot. She has a damage buff with Scything Touch. She has anti-shooting tech with Long Shadows, which is basically Rahira's 3-cost spell for free.
Rahira to her forehead.
Like, how that got on her card after the Rahira Sid, where they're like, this is worth 3 focus. Let's give it to a master for nothing.
Yeah, plus decel too. Like, I'm not trying to make this a rag session about Infernals, but there are some things that make the match a little bit rough to swallow when you're kind of looking at the way their rules are. But
no, it takes games and games of practice, and you have to change how you play into them. Mm-hmm. And, like, here, I didn't respect the threats. If we played again, it'd be a little bit different, but it's still, like, your toolkit's so deep. And Rask is always going to be good. He's Rask.
Yeah,
he's my favorite.
He'll never
not
caster. Be good.
No matter what the Minnesotians try and tell me how Henge 1 is a better Minions caster than Rask, I don't believe it. I will not live in that world.
Weird in the water in Minnesota.
I will not live in that world where Rask is worse than Henge. I don't care what you guys say.
Yeah, I love my Midwestern neighbors, but if I don't know what's going on over there.
It's because you can feat and get a Void Archon or the stupid Toad guy behind him and slam a caster.
Sweet. I mean, that's cool, but I'd rather have a more flexible caster.
But
with a really good feat instead of, like, half of Vlad 3's feat.
Yeah, that's fair.
But no, if you want to continue the conversation about Infernals or just in Minions in general, I know Ethan's a big jank tank minions player, and I'm more than willing to talk about Infernals and their effect on the game and everything. So feel free to leave those below, and we will catch you in our next battle report.
Bye.